And I'm going to try to blast through this as quickly as I can. Did a read through this morning and realized I had about a 30-minute talk. And I think I've gotten it down, but Hans is going to make sure that I stay on time. So let's just get into it and talk to me afterwards if I just went way too fast and you're interested in. I hope that there's something intriguing here and that you'll have a better understanding of what we're building here, which is Park Tiles. And it's a general use, public-facing set of web maps for the National Park Service. They're designed to adhere to our service's graphic identity standards. It's a suite of base maps because we actually support 4 major variations of our base map. So there's the upper left-hand corner, you have standard, which we designed to look the most like our park brochure maps, and accounts for most of our map views. And the examples I'll be showing from nps.gov and a couple limited cases from mobile really kind of are in our standard essentially. And then we also have lower left-hand corner, we have imagery, which drapes a modified park tile styling over an imagery background. We have slate, which is like a dark base map and is in certain contexts is ideal for low vision users. And finally, we have light, and as the name suggests, that's a more muted background that might be suitable for some data overlays. It's general use in that park tiles can be used as a standalone reference map, and it can show key features within the park. I'm actually putting a URL up there. I didn't get a tiny URL for it, so if you are able to actually jot that whole thing down, it's going to stay present for a few slides. You don't have to, but one of the challenges of showing a web map like this is that there's so much going on as you're transitioning across zoom levels, and there's so many diverse areas within the Park Service, so many things that we're trying to account for, the diversity of places that we're handling that in our data, and which feeds into our cartography. So I just invite you to try to find ways to find resources where we've actually got park tiles live on nps.gov that allows you to see it. So anyway, because some of these things I'm going to have to just blast through it, and I might not be able to get through everything. So we're trying to show a map that features these Park Service units. It can also have data overlaid over. So we're zooming in on Yellowstone. This map wasn't made by our group. So we produce tools that allow people to take what we're producing, and Park Service staff can create their own maps. So Park Tiles is designed to be quiet enough in terms of the information that we're feeding into it to allow other people to put their data overlays over it. So this is something that the air quality monitoring science group within the Park Service is able to take our Park Tiles slate and make it as a base map for their for a ArcGIS Online story map based application. It's public facing, so clearly we have so we're trying to highlight the big parks that everybody knows about, and maybe also some of the parks that are flying a bit under the radar. And we're also, we're making sure that we're trying to show the most important features, and we're also trying to not show things that, like sensitive archaeological sites and things like that maybe are not fit for public consumption at this time. And then, it adheres to National Park Service graphic identity. That's really important to us. Generally, within the Park Service, graphic identity, attempts to build a cohesive visual experience for our visitors, from the entrance sign to visitor center signage, interpretive waysides, museum exhibits, print brochure maps, of course, and also leading to our digital experiences, park tiles, desktop, and mobile. So here on the right, we actually have the print brochure map, and recently we, in collaboration with some other groups in the Park Service, released one of our series of mobile apps, and so this is the Yosemite Mobile App. The idea is that they're not identical, but they kind of crosswalk they look like they come from the same place. They're Park Service products. So our the legacy, the really strong cartographic tradition of the Park Service informs how we do labels, how we do color, terrain depiction, road and trail symbols, among others. And where we make slight deviations, we do so to optimize for display on screens. We might need to adjust color contrasts or figure ground relationships in our map symbols to accommodate outdoor use on small mobile device screens. So far, we're holding up on this projector pretty well too, so I'm happy about that. I didn't design for projectors, but it's working out okay so far. I wanted to talk about Park Tiles at this year's meeting, since we released a major revision to Park Tiles earlier this year. Version 4 is a major overhaul of the product, and it was over 2 years in the making. It's actually been around for a while now. I had a lot on the background of this thing because it actually dates back to 2013. Many of you know Mamatha Akella. She's at Carto now. She gave a really great talk during PCD. She and Nate Irwin kind of launched a team called MPMap. She was really the author behind the original Park Tiles and brought it up into its very modern state. We've just been stewards of that product since she moved on. And this was happening back in 2013. I think the name, if I get it right, the name Park Tiles was actually hatched at the 2012 Portland meeting for NACIS, collaboration with some other folks talking about it. Anyway, fast forward to now, so we go through version 2, version 3. By the time we're getting to version 3, we are trying to support a lot more data, Park Service-based data within Park Service boundaries. So in earlier versions, we were showing OpenStreetMap data both inside and outside park boundaries. But our stakeholders wanted us to show more and more data, roads, trails that were where the Park Service staff could actually author those labels, could control what trails were shown or were not shown. And by the time we get there, we had to build a database to house data for the entire Park Service. And we built one ourselves because there wasn't an enterprise system that was that had been built up to that point. So we had to build our own. But the problem with that was this data system that we were building was disconnected from any sort of enterprise system because that enterprise system was still being developed. So if we had a GIS data manager at a park finding an error in a trail name, a misspelling, or something that needed a revision, if they made those edits to their GIS system, there wasn't a seamless way to crosswalk that data back into our system. So in the diagram, all the pieces that you see in the lower part, we have park staff feeding feeding data into places, but there's no arrow connecting park GIS data and regional GIS data to the overall system. So there's that disconnect there. We were asking GIS staff to potentially be making duplicate edits in 2 different systems. So the long-term sustainability was difficult. By late 2016, we were tasked with finding ways of trying to synchronize data housed in those regional GIS data sets up into the Park Tile system. But this forced that system, which I don't have time to talk about what that system was. It was actually, it did some things really well, but it didn't do this very well, unfortunately. It wasn't built to do this and resulted in a workflow where updates often failed due to translation issues and bugs within the system. It was just overly complex. And as a result, it was increasingly difficult to maintain data across our system. Meanwhile, data in Park Tiles continued to stagnate because now some of our traditional editors in the park staff ranks, you can see that I've made a little yellow arrow there, or X there. they're no longer able to feed into that system. Their ability to edit the system has been cut off. So we had something where the data in park tiles was stagnating. We weren't able to update it, and everybody was starting to become really unhappy and with the system, and I was the most unhappy with it. I mean, but everybody else was unhappy with it as well. We need to do something new. So by 2017, people within my division at the Park Service started to build a national enterprise GIS, and over the course of a year, it would develop into something that could at least partially serve park tiles as a source of NPS data with national coverage. So in my abstract for this talk, which I wrote back in May, which does seem like a long time ago, I mentioned this idea of long-term sustainability of park tiles. And I think about, like, how does one define the long-term sustainability for a product, a set of tools, a means of producing web maps within a large federated agency like the National Park Service. You'll need staff time and expertise to keep tools current and relevant moving forward, but importantly, you need buy-in from stakeholders. Your stakeholder group within an agency might be rather diverse, and their priorities might not be in perfect alignment. So with version 4, the idea is that we're feeling relatively confident in the overall sustainability of park tiles because we got the buy-in from the various stakeholders. We had to do this through a staged iterative approach. We had a long-term strategy in mind, but we looked for tactical near-term wins along the way. Sometimes we had to use less than perfect solutions to demonstrate what's possible, and then we could, because the ideal solution in some cases is such a heavy lift that it seems like it'll never happen. So we just try to demonstrate what's possible. And we had to find a way to stick to our convictions about the quality of the cartographic data that is feeding into park tiles and communicate with that vision to the stakeholders. And we also had to listen to their concerns, try to assuage their concerns, and and build partnerships there. So one of the key features of park tiles and why it's a more sustainable product in the long term for the services is this rebuilt data pipeline. So we basically rebuilt it from the ground up. This diagram is, it's simplified, and it hides a lot of the nuts and bolts under the hood, but it's an overview of how the various data sources come together to feed into park tiles. So there's this idea that edits are happening at the park level, feed up into the regional level, into our national enterprise data set. And I should note that we're still using, for context, we're still using a lot of OpenStreetMap data, Mapbox data outside to provide context outside of park boundaries. And we also compile what we call cartographic data sets that complement the national data sets. And they're under our direct control and for purposes of completing park tiles. So we pull, and in there we can pull data, we can consume data from federal partners, from the GNIS and the NHD. And the idea is that, right, we all know this, right? Garbage in, garbage out, but on the flip side, good data can hopefully help you develop a good map, some good cartography. With this revised data pipeline, we can send roads, trails, buildings, parking areas, and points of interest either to park tiles or to external map providers. And the richer the data, the richer the map. So we can get really granular with representation of trails and four-wheel drive roads. Definitely can't go into this. Nor would I want to. I don't really want you to read all this. But this is just it gives you a sense of the range of data that we support within our cartographic data sets. So from the national data set, those are really important themes, roads and trails, but it's actually, there's a lot of other things that might have a smaller footprint, but we need to build those up in cartographic data sets. So just gives you a sense of the variety of things that we're trying to provide here. And so this is a Gateway National Recreation Area. And so we have a variety of features here, playgrounds, ball fields, and pedestrian areas, in addition to that road hierarchy. We can do marine features, so like docks, and that's coming from the NHD where we have foreshore areas, so we can kind of show like areas that are more shallow. We're doing things now where we're basically breaking parks into two categories, and we are showing, it allows us to control the symbol size of that render within parks based on the relative size, geographic extent of the parks. So if we apply one rule fits all across the entire Park Service, at certain zoom levels, roads are going to be too narrow and indistinct when you zoom out on Yellowstone. And if you use the same Yellowstone rules where you have big the roads are thicker when you're more zoomed out, and you apply those same rules to Lyndon Johnson, then the symbols are out of balance with the other data that you're trying to show. So that's all happening in a Postgres database with PostGIS that Jim McAndrew builds for me. So shout out to Jim. You can find him on Twitter at JimmyRocks. So he's developing those vector tiles on my behalf. Well, we collaborate on that. It makes some of these visual enhancements possible, and I don't have time to go into all of them. So with this version of Park Tiles, we're managing to represent management boundaries as well as legislative boundaries and also wilderness boundaries. So this is something that we're getting from our stakeholders. People in the Park Service are wanting us to support these features. So just trying to extend using data in a smart way to get labeling for state boundaries and getting really good state boundary data into the map. And then I'd love to use the web, but I don't know if that's a good idea. Maybe I won't do that. The computer's not online. So I saved these for last because I thought that internet might not be possible. So there was something I wanted to talk about. I'm starting to look towards having fully vector maps on nps.gov, and I'm looking at, right now I'm building a prototype using Mapbox GLJS. Allows us to dynamically add points of interest at icons with various levels of hierarchical control. So we can control for label collisions and visual hierarchy. And because if you look right now at what we currently do, we have to feed those. It's a leaflet-based application on nps.gov, and we have to feed. Time is up, but I got very close to the end, so I'm actually kind of pleased with myself. Thanks everybody for sticking it out with me, and come talk to me later. Appreciate it.